Ireland. Taoiseach, across Europe, greenhouse gas emissions are declining. They're declining far too slowly to avoid catastrophe for humanity. But in Ireland, greenhouse gas emissions are actually rising. They're rising the fastest rate of any EU country, 12.3% year on year, despite the fact that we have the Green Party in government, despite the fact that it's in contravention of our targets under the Climate Action Plan. And a key part of that is aviation. So we have a very modest proposal. We have a bill that has gone through first stage, which is to ban private jets. Private jets epitomise excessive luxury consumption by the very, very richest in the world, having an outsized impact on our environment, for which they experience very little of the consequences. And it's the very poorest people in the world that are experiencing the consequences first and hardest. Top 1% being responsible for 16% of all emissions globally. Just one private jet trip into or out of Ireland emits about 10 tonnes of carbon, about the same as what one person in Ireland does throughout the entire year. So do you agree, Taoiseach, we should ban these private jets?
So again, I want to thank the deputies for their contributions. I think Deputy Durkin is absolutely correct that all government departments have to play a role in climate action, but obviously the ones that have to play the biggest role are transport, energy, agriculture and industry, as those are the areas that account for almost all of the emissions. But of course, housing, finance, public expenditure, NDP delivery, all those government departments have significant roles to play. And I agree that we need to get the balance right. We need to take climate action, but not in a way that causes people to lose their jobs or see their living standards fall or impacts adversely on rural development. And that's why we're trying as a government to marry climate action with economic opportunity. And there are great economic opportunities that arise from climate action, in particular the ambition that I set out for Ireland to become energy independent, developing our solar, our offshore wind, our onshore wind, interconnection, batteries, green fertiliser, green hydrogen, all of those new industries that we can develop, import substitution and export, and that's the vision we're keen to press forward with. Just in relation to the nature restoration law raised by Deputy Moynihan, I think we all appreciate the need to protect nature, to restore biodiversity loss and allow nature to regrow. And we know how quickly nature can recover if it's allowed to regrow. The EU nature restoration law is still a proposal at this stage. And as I said before in the House, there are aspects of it that I feel goes too far, particularly when it comes to taking agricultural land out of use for food production against the wishes of farmers. There's also potential impacts in urban areas. If you apply it to the letter, could make it much harder for grass pitches to become all-weather pitches, could place restrictions on people doing what they want with their own front and back gardens. Some very far-reaching proposals. And I know Deputy Noonan, or Minister Noonan rather, has been very clear that farmers shouldn't be compelled to do anything and should be remunerated and rewarded if they do. And I agree with that approach. So would encourage people to engage in the debate tomorrow in a productive way and suggest how the proposals can be improved and what compromises can be made to make sure it's fit for purpose. We don't yet have an agreed text. It's thought that could be ready for the Council of Ministers meeting in Luxembourg on the 20th of June. At that point, there'll be trilogue with the European Parliament in July, leading to potential ratification by the end of the year, then giving us 2 years to prepare a national restoration plan. We do need an impact assessment, how it would impact on us economically and socially. I think that's important as well. And I know that at the European Parliament levy, there have been negative votes, I think both at the Agriculture Committee and the Fisheries Committee, which I think are significant. In relation to aviation, I think aviation makes up maybe 2 or 3% of our emissions. And we are an island nation, so we rely on aviation in the way that other countries don't for connectivity. I'm not sure what percentage of the 2% the private jets make up. It could be, I don't know what the figure is, but I imagine it's quite small. And I think banning them outright could have negative impacts on investment and employment. Certainly, if a CEO or a chairperson from an IDA client company is coming in, I don't think we could say to them that this is the only country in Europe where you can't land your jet, but please invest here and employ thousands of people. I don't think a unilateral approach from Ireland would work in that regard. What might make more sense would be a tax or a requirement that sustainable aviation fuels be used over time. That might be a more realistic approach than the sledgehammer approach, which would probably essentially say that Ireland is closed to investment from major companies into the future. Just on the energy treaty, not aware of any proposals to withdraw from that.